news. I'm moving across the country, and this is something that I've been wanting to do for a really long time. I used to live across the country actually 5 years ago, and when I did it with the wrong intentions, and I did it with the wrong principles in mind and morals, and I guess it took me 5 years to build up the courage, the traits, the wisdom, the knowledge, the connections, the networks, everything in between to do it again. And I want to do it more responsibly this time. And I figured, you know what? It's Sunday. It's a reflection day. And I figured that I would kind of share my story, because I'm not sure if anyone could ever really piece together my story, because I'm really the only one that's ever lived it, and for a lot of it I was alone, so I didn't really have anyone to share it with. These experiences were kind of just kept between me and the universe. And I think that this story, this journey would mean a lot more if you knew my background story, if you knew my backstory. And I'm a dreamer, and I've always been, ever since a young boy. I've always had the wildest dreams, and always felt like I was different. I never fit into any friend groups really that well, but I got along with everybody. But I never really felt like I was a part of a community, even in my own family. In my immediate family, I always kind of felt like I was cast aside, or maybe that's just the black sheep in me, that maybe that's just that middle child syndrome. But I was kind of rebellious kind of growing up, given the household that I was in. It didn't really allow me to express my creativity and my freedom, and the dreams that I had I wasn't allowed to bring to fruition, because I was kind of held back by my relationship with my parents and the way that I was raised. And alongside that came a lot of fears that had to come out, and shadows that were created because of them. I'm not going to go too in depth about my family story, but I didn't have a great relationship with my parents growing up, and I always felt like I was disappointing them in some way, because I didn't reach their expectations to whatever their expectations were. I'll never really know, but yeah, I was held back from being able to do a lot of things. And I think around high school I decided to start just following my heart regardless of what they had to say, and because of that I was kind of ostracized from the family, and had to kind of pave my own way, and didn't have any support from my family on the endeavors that I was pursuing. And they weren't even anything crazy. It was like even like joining the basketball team, or joining the football team, or being on student council, or like when I got valedictorian or prom king. Like, these were things that didn't impress my parents. If anything, it almost, I don't know why, but it always felt like I disappointed them for achieving those things, because they weren't like scholarship accolades. Like, they weren't scholarly. They weren't like a math award or a science award or anything like that. It was just more so they thought that I was being too social and not focused on my studies. And it was kind of a crazy dynamic to be a part of something like that, when now I've made a career basically off of my social habits and my communication skills. But so I always felt like I never had a home, and I've been on the hunt for that for basically my entire life. I never felt like I belonged anywhere. I was scared to be in my own home growing up. I never wanted to leave my room, and whatever. I'm not going to dive too deep into that. Maybe one day, but now is not the time. So I did a couple things after high school. Kind of got like kicked out in a way, like threatened and whatever. I might just cut that part out, but so I moved to a summer camp after high school. Lived there for a summer. Realized that I can live away from home and be okay and survive, because I was a bubble wrapped kid, to be honest, and wasn't really allowed to leave. my home or hang out with my friends outside of school, like all the other kids might. And yeah, I always felt like I wanted to get away, but didn't have the knowledge or the wisdom at the time to know if I was going to be able to survive on my own. And turns out I could. And through that experience, I moved to Toronto, went there for college, lived there for a couple years while I was in school, and I worked full-time as a coach. And in that time, I learned that I can be independent, and I took it way to the other end of the spectrum where I wanted to just do everything on my own, and I cut a lot of people out and didn't find peace in a community. I almost found it chaotic to be a part of. I just wanted to be isolated and I wanted to be alone when I realized that no one would understand me like I do. Because up until that point, no one has, and no one's proven me otherwise. So then COVID hit, and the gyms closed down at the time. I was like in college, working full time as a coach as well, and when all the gyms shut down, school also went online. So I decided to just pack my bags and move across the country, and I moved to BC with the wrong intention. I just wanted to get away from the world. I wanted to use it as an escape. I didn't even look at it as like, I'm going to find my peace and serenity here. It was like, I'm going to go hide in the mountains. And that I did, like I didn't go to that place with the right intention. It's where I always wanted to be. Like, as long as I knew that the mountains existed, when I visited there for the first time, back in how long ago was it? I went to the Canadian Rockies for the first time in 2017, I believe. And ever since then, I just wanted to move out there. So 3 years or 4 years have gone by, and the opportunity came where I was able to. I didn't have any obligations, so I just packed the car up, drove across the country. But once again, I didn't look at it as a blessing at the time. I viewed it as my escape. And I don't know if you can see the difference in the terminology and the way that I worded those two, but the principle wasn't pure. I just wanted to escape the life that I was living, not necessarily build and grow to foster a new one. And while I was out there, sure, I had a lot of fun, but I didn't enjoy the moments like I should have. I didn't live as presently as I could have. I didn't always make the right decisions because I wasn't thinking long term. I was thinking short term because I was thinking it was an escape. And I wish at the time, if I have one regret in my life, and I really don't, I'm able to look back on my life and realize that everything happened for its reasons, and I learned from everything that happened. But if I do have one regret, it is that I ruined that opportunity, and I burned a lot of bridges, and I made a lot of mistakes, and I didn't see things for the bigger picture at the time because I didn't have the knowledge to. I didn't trust people. I didn't want to be around anybody, and I realized that that's all you have when you're out there. Like, when you're in the mountains, you realize how small you are, and you realize how important your inner circle becomes and the people that you keep around you, and like, you can't do everything on your own. And I said this in my previous video, so I'm not going to go into that anymore, but you can't do this on your own. You want people in your community. We're social, like, we have to. We're social creatures. Like, if we were isolated, we would literally die. It would just be a matter of time if we didn't have the ability to socialize with our ecosystem. Anyway, and I kind of fumbled that opportunity. I made some poor choices while I was out there, and I decided to come back home to southwestern Ontario, where I was born and raised, back with my family, in order to kind of get my feet back under me and get back on the right track mentally. What are my goals? What do I want out of this life that I'm living? How can I think more long term? Why do I see the world in the way that I was at the time? And how can I change that? Where can I buy these rose-colored lenses? And it took maybe 4 years to get to this point right now and appreciate the world for what we live in and truly feel abundant in this moment right now, not wanting anything more, already feeling abundant, not needing something new, something more, in order to feel more fulfilled. Because in this moment right now, with the things that I have and the people I have around me and the career that I have and the things that I do, I feel so abundant, and if this were it for the rest of my life, I would be content. And I know that I'm destined for more, but that's just how I feel in this moment. And I think that's important to realize, that you are allowed to have dreams and you are allowed to want more, but you also have to be happy and considerate of how far you've already come. And when I live on a day-to-day life and I experience things and I'm in conversations, or before I go into work, or before I go into a senior mobility class, I have a conversation with my inner child, and it's something that I've had to grow accustomed to. It's kind of awkward at first to envision yourself as a child and have a conversation with them, but at the core of who you are as a human being, we're all children, and we all want to be nurtured, and we all want to be heard, and we all want to be affectionate, and we all want love. That's just who we are, and that doesn't change. But society makes us believe that we want this or we want that, or like we don't need relationships, or we do want a marriage, or we don't. But I want to come back to who I was as a child. What did I need? What did I miss? What did I not get growing up? And how can I provide that for myself now? How can I provide that for the people that I'm communicating with and networking to and talking to and training with and whatever? How can I apply that with every word that I say, every thought that I have, every action that I do? And I started being kinder to myself internally. I no longer became angry for the little things, like whenever anything happened, or like if a fork was dropped, or a plate was dropped, or a cup was dropped in my household and growing up, there would be a huge fuss about it, and it created a lot of fear in me as a child, to not make mistakes, to be prim and proper, and I was constantly in a state of fear when I was at home. And I realize now that, even up until a couple of years ago, I kind of lived my life with my shoulders up to my ears, because maybe I never let go. Maybe I kind of just felt like that was the norm now, because I lived life that way for so long that I just thought it was normal, until I realized that it's not. Because I was feeling I started developing shoulder issues and lower back issues, and anyways, I had to do a lot of physio and work, and I realized how much tension my upper traps held, and how that's not normal. That's not how it's supposed to be. And with the physio, I was given corrective exercises, and I did them. Yeah, sure, they helped, and I still would recommend them to people that would experience the pains that I was going through as well. But I also had to realize that there's more to the story than just this physical complication. Why am I living my life like this? What's causing that? And it was the anxiety that I was living in, and I had to learn where it came from. And in order to learn where it came from, I had to talk to my inner child. And it was exactly that. It was the fear of making mistakes, the fear of doing something wrong, the fear of being judged, the fear of being criticized, screamed at, whatever, right? And when I learned how to be kind to myself and realized that we're all human, we're not perfect, we're not meant to be, and that mistakes are not a bad thing. Mistakes help you learn, they help you grow, because they're opportunities for that. And when I learned that, I became less fearful of trying new things, less fearful of taking new risks, and less fearful of accepting love as well. And when I learned all of these things, opportunities just started kind of flowing to me. Connections became seamless from within to myself and to everybody around me. I can strike up a conversation with anybody at any time, talking about anything. I can change colors like a chameleon to any situation and have the best time in the world. And that's, I learned all of those things through letting go of these fears that were instilled in me. And in order for me to let go of those fears, I had to face them, and I had to realize that I make mistakes and that I'm not perfect, and that's going to continue to be a trend. And I had to learn that I can't judge myself for that. And I started doing it to myself, and I realized that now I just subconsciously do it to others as well. Because I couldn't judge myself, there is no way that I could judge the human that I'm looking at. Vice versa. When I'm dancing around like nobody's watching, like when I'm at a rave, completely sober, dancing alone, like me 5 years ago would not go to a rave alone, much less dance and talk to strangers and make connections and have all of those things that happened to me in that last video that I posted. None of that would have happened to the person that I was 5 years ago. And it took a lot of like tricking myself and almost feeling like a fraud, phony, taking on these new personality traits that I didn't have at one point in time. It hurt, it was weird, it didn't feel comfortable, because obviously you're acting in ways that you're not used to. But eventually, like muscle memory, it just becomes who you are. Your thoughts change alongside that muscle memory as well. And I started to believe that I am a social creature when I once thought that I was an introverted hermit. And now I can make friends with the birds and the bees and the moms and the dads and the grandmas and the grandpas and the kids and everyone in between. Now I can make friends with everything on this planet, with no exceptions. And that came alongside learning to love myself. Learning to love myself for everything. And every trait, every quality, every thought, whether they be good or bad, even though good and bad doesn't exist. We just coin whatever we deem fits, good or bad, whether it was through the societal training that we were taught growing up, like this is good, this is bad, blue is for boys and pink is for girls, whatever we were taught, which isn't our fault, right? It's what we were taught. It's what the environment around us taught us, because how else would we know if no one told us? And we can also unlearn those things. We can re-hardwire the way that we think. We would realize that humans are capable of growth, because I am, because you are, because you are proof that humans can change, and then you can see that in others as well, and you can build such strong relationships that way. That was a long spiel, I'm sorry, but I am moving back across the country. I was like in a trance there. But I'm moving across the country, and it is so exciting, but it also breaks my heart because of all the connections and the community that I have around me that have been so supportive and have had nothing but nice things to say to me ever since I've been breaking the news to my clients and members, and it's been very supportive. And there's been a lot of tears that have been shed, not just from me, from other people, believe it or not. Well, you might believe it. I didn't believe it, but now I have no choice but to, because it wouldn't just happen if it didn't mean anything. And these messages that I'm receiving, these notes that I'm getting, these hugs that I'm getting, yeah, it's crazy. But I'm telling you right now that no change is easy. All change is difficult. I'm going to the most beautiful place in Canada, in my opinion. I am going to chase my dreams and pursue this passion with nothing but blind faith. And it's scary. It is. And it's not an easy thing. And I think there might be a lot of people that almost look at me like, how could you not be excited? There's no way that you don't feel blessed. And I do. I'm grateful. I'm blessed. I'm so excited. I'm so ready for this opportunity now. But it doesn't mean that I can't grieve. Right? You're allowed to grieve. But it doesn't mean that it should stop you. Yeah. So this is my announcement. If I have any friends watching in the British Columbia area, the Vancouver area, Vancouver Island area, anything like that, if anybody is out there watching and you wanna connect, you wanna hang out, you wanna go on an adventure, you wanna work with me in any way, let's do it. Let's do it. British Columbia, here I come. Oh my gosh. I just went into a tarot reading and I left crying. Oh my gosh. It's unfortunate that I didn't get that interaction on video, but I know some things are meant to stay between me and the universe and not for me and the world all the time. So that was one of those times, and I was given tissues because I'm a little crybaby, and I heard things that I needed to hear, and I felt things that I needed to feel. I'll probably keep what she said in that reading between me and her and in the universe or spirit, whoever you want to address it as. Oh my gosh. What's crazy is the first card that she pulled was the Seven of Cups. And this is the card that I was gifted at the rave. Yeah, there's no way I can believe that was just a mere coincidence any further. So that's one way to enhance my faith. Yeah, I'm just gonna put this camera away for now and just exist in the moment.